We feature a young Somali woman shortlisted for the Nobel Peace Prize. And in sports, Ethiopia and Kenya shine in London as Kipchoge's marathon reign is cut short. We begin with the latest on the health condition of US President Donald Trump. His physician, Dr. Sean Conley, has said he's hoping Trump could be discharged as early as Monday from Walter Reed Medical Center. Trump is currently being treated for COVID-19 in the US military hospital just outside Washington, D.C. In his first tweet on Sunday, Trump thanked supporters who gathered outside Walter Reed Medical Center, waving flags and chanting. Meanwhile, after some confusion over the president's condition following a press briefing by his doctors on Saturday, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows confirmed to Fox News that the president's condition the day before had been far worse than officials made public. In a video posted on Twitter, Trump says the next few days will be the real test. Trump's medical team says they are cautiously optimistic about the president's health going forward. In Nigeria, a locally developed COVID-19 rapid test kit is in the final approval phase by regulatory bodies. Authorities say the kit can produce results in less than 40 minutes and does not need extensive training to use. The kit is also 10 times cheaper than the PCR testing method currently being used. CGTN's Deji Badmas has more on that story.
Dr. Tuyime Bawadu runs a private hospital in Lagos. He's among the medical experts eagerly awaiting a rapid test kit developed by the Nigerian Research Institute. His hospital does not have the capacity to test for COVID-19. He and his staff are exposed on a daily basis to patients who may carry the virus. He says the rapid test kit could put everyone in a safer position.
In recent times, we've seen quite a lot of people manifesting just vomiting alone. No fever, vomiting and headache. That's made the kit in. I wonder what virus could be causing that in Nigeria. Is there another manifestation of COVID-19? So normally, if these tests are available, we can do it as a routine for everybody that comes to the center, into the hospital, and then ensure that we get results and have a clear understanding of how to manage the virus.
One of the challenges with Nigeria's fight against the pandemic has been inadequate testing. Since the initial outbreak in February, just slightly over 500 tests have been conducted. That covers less than 1% of the population of around 200 million people.
The initial test, which is the PCR test, costs a lot, 50,000 naira, and it's not only costing a lot, it takes time before the result can come out. So with this one, that is going to be within 40 minutes and cost less than about 5,000, 4,000, 5,000. It is then within the reach of the people there. We can see quite a lot of people that can then be part of the rapid testing kit.
It's still not known when the final approval will be given for the deployment of the test kits, but health experts are quick to warn that standards should not be lowered in approving the kits for use.
We have to look at the sensitivity of this test kit and specificity of the test kit. When we talk about sensitivity, we're saying that out of 100 cases, out of 103 cases, true cases of COVID infection, can this test detect all the 100? That's sensitive. That means the test is sensitive. Then, if we are talking about specificity, we're saying that out of 100 negative cases of COVID-19, can this test show that they are truly negative?
Over the past 2 months, Nigeria has recorded lower numbers of daily new cases, but authorities say it's still not time to celebrate. Experts are unanimous that the rapid test kits would give a clearer picture of the situation of the disease in the country. Deji Badmos, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.
Humanitarian organizations have warned more than 2.1 million people in Somalia are facing acute food insecurity. The Famine Early Warning Systems Network cites a combined effect of severe flooding and desert locust infestation as the main reasons behind the food shortage. The socio-economic impacts of COVID-19 have also contributed to food scarcity. Recent statistics showed that more than 800,000 children under the age of 5 could be acutely malnourished through August 2021. Internally displaced persons have also been considered as vulnerable. The majority of IDPs are poor, live in urban areas in desperate conditions, and rely more heavily on humanitarian aid.
I got displaced from Sablale in Lower Shabelle region due to famine that caused acute shortage of water. The river dried up following delayed rains. We were also threatened by attacks from drone strikes.
Our crops and harvest we relied on were destroyed by locust infestation and the recurring floods, so we were forced to come to the city to seek support.
The absence of peace has led to the shortage of food in the country. Because farmers cannot grow crops and produce surplus due to the violence and skirmishes between different sides, recurrent drought, famine and floods. All of this has affected the farming sector.
The chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, has termed the signing of the peace deal among Sudanese factions as a historic milestone. After a full year of negotiations, the Sudanese transitional government signed a peace deal with armed groups on Saturday. The signing ceremony held in neighboring South Sudan is expected to bring to an end to 17 years of conflict. Since October 2019, South Sudan has been mediating between the Sudanese government and the armed groups from Darfur, South Kordofan and Blue Nile regions. The AU Commission chairperson has urged those who did not sign to join the peace process. The absence of two key rebel groups from the signing highlights challenges in the ongoing peace process. Meanwhile, in Kenya, a judge is expected to announce a verdict on 3 individuals for their alleged role in the 2013 Westgate terrorist attack. A ruling is expected on Monday. At least 67 people were killed when Al-Shabaab fighters burst into a luxury shopping mall in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Attackers hurled grenades, starting a days-long siege that ended with dozens wounded and several businesses damaged.
It was a sunny Sunday afternoon on the 21st of September in 2013. Shiksha Arora recalls. The radio presenter was at the Westgate Mall, hosting a children's cooking competition on air, when 4 heavily armed militants started killing people all around her.
It was absolute madness because the amount of blood, the amount of tragedy that was in front of me, I will never ever forget that particular run to the staircase, because the amount of bodies that I saw on the ground, the amount of blood that was on the ground, you know, people injured, people begging for help, people crying.
One of Shiksha's colleagues was among the dozens that lost their lives that day. Today, Shiksha continues to entertain listeners and help them stay safe on the road.
A very good evening to you. You're with me, Shiksha Arora, on City Lights, right here on East FM, Kenya's premier Asian mix, where it's all about your requests, your dedications, driving you home safely, just making sure that you have the most incredible evening ever.
It's been 7 years since the attack, but survivors and families of victims are still bearing the pain.
It was something that is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. Those particular sights and sounds just will continue replaying in my memory, and I'll always have flashbacks of that moment when I was running to the exit.
A judge in Kenya is expected to announce a verdict against 3 suspects accused of aiding the attackers and of conspiring to commit terrorism, among other charges.
I really do hope that on the day of the sentencing, the judge rules that these people are responsible for the attack and they get sentenced to death, and we can finally move on with lives and get the closure that we truly deserve. Because these past few years, 7 years that have passed, haven't been easy on us, and I feel like this is what we need to just go about our lives and move on and finally close this chapter.
The suspects have denied all the charges. 4 others suspected of carrying out the Westgate attack are believed to have been killed in the 4-day standoff. Chamhono, CGTN.
You're watching Africa Live. We're taking a quick break. Coming up, we feature a young Somali woman shortlisted for the Nobel Peace Prize. And Egypt unveils 59 coffins dating back 2,500 years ago and in perfect condition.
On CGTN, Africa's first installment of the Food Production in Africa series, tomorrow we bring you stories on support to farmers from Kenya's village-based advisors, DRC's farming in conflict, and Ethiopia's commodity exchange. Stay tuned.
A social rights activist in Somalia has been shortlisted for the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize Award. Ilwad Elman has been at the forefront of the country's peace process. CGTN's Joy Kiruki has the details.
Meet Ilwad Elman, a 30-year-old woman on a mission. As the co-founder of the Elman Peace and Human Rights Organization, she's out to restore peace and dignity in Somalia in her own way.
Our belief is humanitarian aid does not have to be sad. It could be rejoiceful, fun, celebration of community. So you know what I'm about to do? DJ!
Elman wears many hats. She was voted the winner of the African Young Personality of the Year during the 2016 Africa Youth Awards. She is a member of the advisory group for the UN Peace Building Fund, and she's a part of a number of other UN expert groups. Elman, who spent her childhood in Canada, said she returned to Somalia years after her father was killed for the work he was doing.
I decided to leave Canada and return to Somalia to pick up the torch of activism, to continue the work that my father started under the Drop the Gun, Pick Up the Pen initiative, to work on the disengagement, rehabilitation, and reintegration of children that are disassociated from armed forces and groups. And although it has been 20 years since my father was killed for this work, the disarmament and reintegration work he incepted in Somalia remains incredibly relevant and necessary today, in Somalia, and as this informal meeting brings to attention around the world.
Elman also lost her sister Almas, an aid worker, in November 2019 to a gunshot wound that killed her in Mogadishu. Her other sister, Iman, is a commander in the Somali Armed Forces. And now Elman is a possible contender for the Nobel Peace Prize. The winner of the $1 million prize will be announced in Oslo on October 9th. Joy Kiruki Juma, CGTN.
The Egyptian Tourism and Antiquities Ministry has unveiled 59 ancient wooden coffins in the Saqqara necropolis. The discovery was made at the UNESCO World Heritage Site south of Cairo in August. The coffins, believed to date back 2,500 years, are said to be in perfect condition. The Egyptian archaeological mission behind the discovery embarked on the mission in 2018. They have so far unveiled 3 burial shafts at differing depths. The coffins are believed to belong to priests and officials from the 26th dynasty. Relations between China and Ethiopia have grown stronger over the past decades. Outgoing Chinese ambassador to Ethiopia, Tan Jian, commended the immense contribution of both countries. He says since his arrival in Addis Ababa in 2017, Ethiopia has made profound progress both politically and economically. In an exclusive interview with CGTN's correspondent Gurum Chala, Tan Jian said China is committed to help further develop Ethiopia and Africa as a whole. Let's listen in.
I arrived in December 2017. But generally speaking, I think since my arrival, Ethiopia has undergone profound changes. I think 2 months after my arrival, the then Prime Minister resigned, and then the new Prime Minister took office. So my job is to maintain the momentum of cooperation and to further develop our relations in the transitional kind of a period of Ethiopia. And I believe that we have maintained the momentum. We have maintained high-level exchange of visits, like the Prime Minister visited China twice in the first 2 years of his office here. So that is something in general I would like to characterize my tenure over the past 3 years.
Ambassador, one of the most remarkable jobs that have been done perhaps over the past 1 year when it comes to the relationship between China and Ethiopia is the cooperation between the two in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. And China and Ethiopia have shown real strength in this. But you've been deeply involved. how do you really see those moves that have been made by both countries and also authorities?
We have supported each other. Ethiopian leaders, the president, the prime minister, the foreign minister, sent a message of solidarity to the Chinese leaders and make phone calls to the Chinese leaders. And also Ethiopian airline, while under tremendous pressure to suspend their flights. They have 5 destinations in China almost on a daily basis. Well, they decided not to suspend, to continue the flights. Yeah. Of course, we have taken every measures possible to avoid the imported case from China, and I'm happy to say that there was none of imported COVID-19 cases. So, and on our side, we have also provided support. We sent medical team to Ethiopia. We provided medical supplies to Ethiopia. We convene video conference with Ethiopian doctors. So it's a mutual support. And also our private sector having mobilized to provide their support to Ethiopia. It's a kind of people-to-people kind of cooperation and support. So this COVID-19 have strengthened our relations, have deepened our political trust. So I will see also that this is something that we do believe that we have stood the test.
China and Ethiopia enjoy the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership, one of the highest perhaps China has with a few countries. And this, I believe, did not come just out of a blue, but perhaps with a lot of work that you've been talking about, successful work that is. But Ambassador, what do you think are some of the best practices that China and Ethiopia have enjoyed in their partnership over the past many years that other African states can also expedite?
I think our cooperation with Ethiopia and with African countries, we call it South-South cooperation. One unique feature of this South-South cooperation is that we share similar past. We suffered from colonialism, yeah. And also we are confronted with the common task of development, yeah. So we have a lot of things in common. And in this regard, I will say that our relations with Ethiopia is based on the mutual trust. So this kind of closeness, this kind of trust between our two governments, between our two peoples is very important, yeah. Because with many countries, it's a state-to-state relations, right? Yeah. But within the South-South cooperation framework, we do want to see that with these similarities, it can be a good basis, a solid basis for us to promote our cooperation. I think that is a lesson I would like to emphasize.
They have roots that can be traced back thousands of years. They lived in remote areas before they were forced to migrate and integrated into the wider population. They are the Lopnur people, one of the oldest habitant groups of the Taklamakan Desert. We feature them today in today's episode of our continuing Amazing Xinjiang series.
The Lopnur people are the Indijing of the desert and used to survive by fishing in small lakes. They built boats and utensils from poplar, rose willows, and other desert plants. They are also known for their long life expectancy rate. Descendants of the Lopnur people are now considered a sub-ethnicity of China's Uyghur people. Today, most of them live in a county called Yuli in Xinjiang. Surrounded by Taklamakan, China's largest desert, the Lopnur people's village was built 35 kilometers southwest of the county center. It's the site where the Lopnur people were forcefully migrated from Lopnur, once a large landlocked lake, but now dried up. The village is now a popular tourist attraction and is still one of the largest villages in West China.
Coming up in sports, Ethiopia and Kenya shine in London as Kipchoge's marathon reign is cut short.